就行，是吧？好，今天的单词我已经记住了，就这四个 ：jealous、sympathy、invest、resemble、
resemble, invest, sympathy,
jealous,
jealous。好，这记住了，我们直接就开始阅读吧。进入阅读，主要就是女主人她的死因陈理，然后我们开始第二章。第一章节没仔细看，后面再补上吧。好，开始。
Also, I had a friend who for many years never left my side. Occasionally he behaved stupidly enough to make me afraid, but his honest opinions, the pleasure of delighting and surprising him by my greater intelligence, I miss these things more than I can tell you. He died? Not so. He lives now in the Argentine. In the Argentine, I said jealously. Mr. Porritt looked at me sympathetically.
现在出现第一个主人公是 Mr. Porritt。Mr. Porritt 我们可以找这个人物关系表，然后可以找到他在哪里，是他的一个邻居 Mr. Porritt。我们把它粘过来，这样的话就可以好看了。它是以这个之前第一章，好，继续走。
Mr. Porritt looked at me sympathetically. You will go there, yes? He asked. I shook my head with a sigh. I could have gone a year ago, but I was foolish and...
这个 I could have gone a year ago 就是1年之前我本来可以干什么的，可以走的，但是没有走。Could have done，could have 加 done something， 就是本来可以干什么，但是没有干就是一种遗憾惋惜吧。
speculated. Not those new oil fields? He asked.
He asked 就是这个 Mr. Perry 就问了，不是这些油田吗
I thought about them, but in the end I chose a gold mine in Western Australia.
这就其实很好的一个转折，其实就像平时在做题一样，就像之前作业的题一样，看到 but 后面才是这个主人公真正说的。你看，我们不看前面，看 but in the end I chose a gold mine in Western Australia， 就是我在澳大利亚的西部写作的一个金矿本来刚开始他是写油田的，然后后来写作的金矿。
My neighbour was regarding me with a strange expression. It is fate that I should live next to a man who would seriously consider investing in oil fields and gold mines. And you are a doctor, a man who knows the stupidity of most things. Well, we are neighbours.
其实这句话意思说的什么意思呢？就是说都是命，我应该 should live next to， 本来我会挨着一个人住在他的身边，这个人是谁呢？就是投资油田和金矿的，并且也是个医生，就知道都遗传的事。Well, neighbors. 这个指的是他说的。
Please, you must give your excellent sister my best marrow. He bent down, picked up a huge marrow, and gave it to me. Indeed, said the little man cheerfully, this has not been... been a wasted morning. I have met a man who in some ways resembles my old friend. By the way, you must know everyone in this village. Who is the young man with the very dark hair and eyes and the handsome face? Captain Ralph Payton.
又出现第二个人物 ，Captain Ralph Payton，就是这个人了。忘记了。啊。Captain Ralph Payton. Captain Ralph Payton. 这个关系太了。是这个的机子是这个的关系。这个关系出现了。这个确实很烦，他这个关系我。
I said, "He is the stepson of Mr. Ackroyd of Fernley Park." I should have guessed. Mr. Ackroyd spoke of him many times. You know Mr. Ackroyd? I asked, surprised. Mr. Ackroyd knew me in London when...
这个艾克的出现了，艾克就是这个继父。这样继续走。快了吗？对，就到这里了。
I have asked him to say nothing of my profession down here. I have not even tried to correct the way the local people pronounce my name. So, Captain Ralph Payton, and he is engaged to the beautiful Miss Flora.
说是Captain Ralph Payton 已经和这个漂亮的弗罗拉小姐结婚了。弗罗拉是什么关系呢？他们记在这里说过了，其实这个和找的这个关系不一样。
Who told you so? Mr. Ackroyd. He put some pressure on the young man. That is never wise. A young man should marry to please himself, not to please a stepfather, even though he expects to inherit a great deal of money.
这句话很有意思，这句话就是因为他的继父给他一些压力，要和这个弗洛瑞小姐结婚。
From him. I was confused. I could not imagine Ackroyd discussing the marriage with a hairdresser. At that moment, my sister called me from the house. I went in. Caroline had just come back from the village. She began talking immediately. I met Mr. Ackroyd, and I asked him about Ralph. He would...
所以他们也没遇到这个艾克罗先生，然后就问一些关于 Ralph 的问题。 多，就这个 Mr. Paddle，Mrs. 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 Paddle
was astonished. He had no idea the boy was down here. Then he went on to tell me that Ralph and Flora are engaged, and I told him that Ralph was staying at the Three Boars.
这就是主角，主角到底是谁？主角的内容。
Caroline, I said,
Caroline,
do you never think that you might do harm by repeating everything you hear? Nonsense. People should know things. I think Mr. Ackroyd went straight to the Three Boars, but if so, he didn't find Ralph there, because as I was coming through the woods... Coming through the woods? I interrupted. It was such a lovely day. The autumn colours are so perfect at this time of year. Caroline does not like woods at any time of year. But our local woods are the only place where you can talk with a young woman unseen by the whole village. Anyway, I heard voices. One was Ralph Peyton's. The other was a girl's. She said something I didn't hear, and Ralph answered very angrily. "My dear girl," he said, "the old man will disinherit me, which means I'll be very, very poor. If he doesn't, I will be a very, very rich man when he dies. So I don't want him to change his will. You leave it to me and don't worry." Unfortunately, just then I stepped on a piece of wood which broke and made a noise, and they moved away. So I wasn't able to see who the girl was. Who could it have been? I made an excuse about a patient and went out. But I went straight to the Three Boars. Ralph had not inherited his mother's addiction to alcohol, but he was self-indulgent and extravagant. Nevertheless, his friends were all devoted to him. At the Three Boars, I was told that Captain Peyton had just come in. I went up to his room. "Why, it's Shepherd!" "The one person I'm glad to see in this place. Have a drink, won't you?" "Thanks," I said. "I will." He pressed the bell, then sat down with a sigh. "I'm in a complete mess. I just don't know what to do next. It's my stepfather." "What has he done?" "It isn't what he's done, but what he's likely to do." "If I could help," I suggested. He shook his head. "It's good of you, Doctor, but I've got to do this on my own."